Welcome again to my Inspirational Ingrid channel. I hope you're all well. I hope you've had a wonderful week so far. So here we are again on one of my other episodes. We're talking about Abishag. So it's episode 20. Let's talk about Abishag. Let's talk about Abishag. So if you've actually been watching my videos over the past couple of weeks, months and years, you will have known that this year I've actually been doing a walk through the Bible, and it's a walk of women through the Bible. So at the beginning of the year, I started with Eve, Sarah, so forth. The Esthers, the Abigails, the Holdars. And so last week, I actually did one on Bathsheba. But today, it's called Let's Talk About Abishag. And it's episode 20. And I just want to celebrate, because if I'm doing episode 20, that means that I've been talking about women in the Bible for 20 weeks. Yes, 20 weeks, and I have not even finished yet. And so I just want to carry on. So before I do actually carry on, I just want to say, please like and share and subscribe to my channel. Yeah, if you can and if you're able, because this really helps my channel out. And it helps it to grow. So, like I said, this is episode 20. And it's called Let's Talk About Abishag. Now, Abishag, who was she? Abishag can be found in 1 Kings chapters 1 and 2. Yeah, chapters 1 and 2. And so it's a beautiful story, but it's a very unique story, okay? And I don't really like to miss some women out, because some women have some really small roles in the Bible. And Abishag is actually one of them. But let's talk about her. Who was she? She was a beautiful woman. She was pure. She was a virgin. What do I mean by that? It means that she had no man. She'd never been with a man before. She was just pure and innocent and untouched. The name Abishag in Hebrew means my father a wanderer, or my father strays, which is quite strange really, because she's a young girl, a young woman. And so to have a name like my father is a wanderer or my father strays is a bit strange, isn't it? But maybe I'll talk about her name a bit later on. And so she was a Shemanite woman. And if you knew from my other video a couple of weeks ago, I actually spoke about the Shunammite woman, okay, the woman that didn't have a name. However, this Shunammite woman does have a name, and her name is Abishag. And if you were a Shemanite, you would actually come from the small village called Shunem, okay? And so women from Shunem were very much sought after. And this is for their beauty, this is for their innocence, and most of them were actually young virgins as well. So this is why they were actually sought out for their purity. And so, as you know, Shunem belongs to the tribe of Issachar. So I've spoken about the tribes of Issachar. These are the tribes that could tell the signs of the times and of the seasons. And these men were men of wisdom. Yeah. Abishag herself was a woman of wisdom. Yeah. She was a woman of faith. She believed in God very strongly. She was obedient to her calling. She did not argue. She did not complain. She did whatever she was asked. Yeah. Whatever she was asked. Now, this is quite a short story, but it's all the other people in the story that makes it quite a longer story. Like I said, it's very unique. It's a very unique story. And it continues from the story of Bathsheba, who I spoke about last week. So, like I said, each woman in this Bible deserves a mention. And that's why I'm talking about Abishag, because her unique role right here was very important as well. Very, very important. Now, the main characters in this story is King David, Adonijah, Bathsheba, King Solomon, and Abishag herself. So like I said, it's definitely a continuation of my video last week. So please go back to video or episode 19, which talks about Bathsheba. So if you watch that one first, then come back to this one, it will actually make a bit more sense because they kind of entwine with one another. And so I'm going to read from 1 Kings chapter 1, verses 1 to 4. And then we can see who Abishag was. And so it says, when King David was very old, he could not keep warm, even when they put covers over him. So his attendants said to him, let us look for a young virgin to serve the king and take care of him. She can lie beside him so that our lord the king may keep warm. They searched throughout Israel for a young, beautiful woman, and they found Abishag, a Shunammite, and brought her to the king. The woman was very beautiful. She took care of the king and waited on him, but the king had no sexual relations with her. So, this is exactly what happened to Abishag. She was sought after. She was sought after to look after the king. Remember, the servants sought through all Israel, and they found Abishag. They found Abishag. So the king, as you know, is no other than King David. King David, who was the shepherd boy, who killed lions and bears, to protect his sheep. He killed giants like Goliath, okay? He was a magnificent warrior, but not only that, he was actually a musician as well, because he played his harp to King Saul. He played his harp to King Saul so he could sing. And King David wrote many psalms, as you know, the Bible. In the middle of the Bible is Psalms, the book of Psalms, which David wrote many of. And so he, as a warrior, he claims many victories in his army, much more than King Saul, who was before him. So this is who King David was. But now look at King David. King David, remember, is a man after God's own heart. God loved King David. God blessed him like no other. He blessed him. But like I said, King David now is old. So old that he can't keep warm. His body temperature is cold. He's frail. He's old. He's an elderly person now. He's an elderly person. And the only way that his servants could think of keeping him warm was not with a hot water bottle, which we would have today. I don't think they had them in those days. But in those days, they would use young women, young, beautiful women, especially for a king. That's what they sought after. So Abishag was called to nurse for King David, look after him, take care of him in his older age, but also to lie next to him and to keep his body temperature warm, because even the covers couldn't keep him warm. So he needed body temperature, warm, hot body temperature to keep this king warm. So this is what this king had come down to now. This is what this king had come down to, okay? So as it's stated, Abishag did not have sex with King David. King David was probably too old anyway, I think. He just wanted to rest, So he's probably at the end of his life as well, So he kind of respected Abishag. He honoured her, her purity. And it's as if he wanted to keep her pure because she was young. He didn't want to probably take advantage of her, because if she kept pure, she could probably marry, and have a husband. So in actual fact, his thinking and the way he was as well, he was actually looking out for this young woman, this beautiful young woman. So she was, like I said, she was there to look after him. So she was more like a servant and a nurse to the king, more than a companion of sorts, so to speak. So now if you can remember King David, in his youth, He loved women. He had a passion for women. He had a lust for women. He would even steal women from other men, as you know in my previous story. That is just how much of a charmer he was. King David loved women. Yeah? So now, after all these years of loving these wives, these women, these slave women, these concubines, remember, I don't even know how many he had, but I know he had a lot. And he probably just wants to rest and go home to his father now and leave the earth, and leave all the troubles that he's had behind him. Remember, he was a king for quite a few years. And so he's probably tired of all the stuff that he had to do now, He's probably saying, I want to pass on the baton now as well. So, behind the scenes, now that he's old, his sons are now fighting for his royal crown and his kingdom. His sons, because David had quite a few sons. So, King David, the renowned king, the one that even had a city named after him, he has the city of David. Yes, the city of David. So it's no wonder that his sons want to take over his kingdom. It's no wonder that they're fighting each other. So this conflict is all happening while poor King David is resting in his royal chamber, being nursed by Abishag. Okay? But now his sons not only are fighting for his kingdom, but now his sons are also fighting for his wives, his concubines, and now, of course, Abishag. So remember I said that Abishag's story is a very unique and small story. But isn't it funny how this young, beautiful, pure and innocent woman is now being fought after? Remember, she was first sought and now she's been fought for. Yeah? Abishag was sought for and now she is being fought for. So who is this beautiful woman? Who is this beautiful woman that just by looking at her, they knew that she was fit for the king? Just by looking at her, the sons now want to marry and fight over her as well. Well, now the king has died. Yeah? Moses. Now the king has died. King David has died. King David has died. And so Adonijah, Solomon's brother, Adonijah, who was fighting Solomon for the throne. If you read and, listen to my video last week, you'll understand the story. Because last week, Adonijah appointed himself as king when he shouldn't have done, because God chose King Solomon as king. Yeah, God chose Solomon as king. So after all of that, all the backfighting, King David is dead. King Solomon now banishes, his brother Adonijah for trying to take over the throne. He banishes him. But then Adonijah comes back. He comes back. He shouldn't have come back, but he comes back. And this is what it reads. This reads in 1 Kings chapter 2. And it's from verses 13 to 25. Okay. And it says, now Adonijah, the son of Haggith, went to Bathsheba, Solomon's mother. Bathsheba asked him, do you come peacefully? He answered, yes, peacefully. Then he added, I have something to say to you. You may say it, she replied. As you know, he said, the kingdom was mine. All Israel looked to me as their king. But things changed, and the kingdom was gone to my brother. For it has come to him from the Lord. Now I have one request to make of you. Do not refuse me. You make it, she said. So he continued, please ask King Solomon, he will not refuse you, to give me Abishag, the Shunammite, as my wife. Very well, Bathsheba replied. I will speak to the king for you. So when Bathsheba went to King Solomon to speak to him for Adonijah, The king stood up to meet her, bowed down to her, and sat down on his throne. He had a throne brought for the king's mother, and she sat down at his right hand. I have one small request to make of you, she said. Do not refuse me. The king replied, make it, my mother. I will not refuse you. So she said, let Abishag, the Shunammite, be given in marriage to your brother Adonijah. King Solomon answered his mother, why do you request Abishag, the Shunammite, for Adonijah? You might as well request the kingdom for him. After all, he is my older brother. Yes, for him and for Abithar, the priest, and Joab, son of Zeruiah. Then King Solomon swore by the Lord, may God deal with me, be ever so severely. As surely as the Lord lives, he who has established me securely on the throne of my father David, and has founded a dynasty for me, as he promised, Adonijah shall be put to death today. So King Solomon gave orders to Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, and he struck down Adonijah, and he died. So the reason why King Solomon killed his brother Adonijah was not solely for Abishag, even though he was actually protecting Abishag from his own brother. Remember, his brother was quite ruthless and arrogant, and he didn't want this pure, innocent woman to be, married to his brother, because he knew his brother's temperament. He knew his brother's character. So Adonijah, like I said, tried to take the kingdom for himself, and he anointed himself king. So Solomon knew what was in Adonijah's heart. He knew that if Adonijah had taken Abishag to be his wife, he would also be requesting the kingdom. He would also be requesting the kingdom as well. This is not all he wanted. Solomon thought that Adonijah still had an inkling that, he could get back into the palace and he could overthrow King Solomon. And so King Solomon's like, no way. God himself anointed me to be king. The Nathan, the prophet, anointed me to be king. My own father, King David, also gave me his blessing to be king. There's no way I'm going to let my brother Adonijah come back into the kingdom and marry Abishag. So you can probably just see what was going through his mind here. Yeah, you could probably just see it. And so he's also probably thinking, you can't have my father's wife. You cannot have my father's concubine. You cannot have my father's nurse for yourself. Now remember, Adonijah has already escaped death from King Solomon previously. He'd already escaped death because King Solomon had banished him before. But he returns now, and he wants a wife, but he wants Abishag. He wants Abishag as his wife. King Solomon was furious. He denied the request of his mother, even though he loves his mother, and he would have granted her anything. Remember, his mother Bathsheba was on the right side of him. His mother Bathsheba had her own throne as queen mother. So he rarely denies her request, except for on this occasion. On this occasion, he refused his mother. He refused his mother's request. And he had his brother Adonijah killed by the hand of Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada. And all of this was because of this young, innocent virgin called Abishag. Who was she? Who was she? And how beautiful was she? You see, she did play an important role. She looked after the king. Abishag was sought after. Remember, Queen Esther was sought after and brought to the palace. Here, Abishag from Shunammite, was also sought after and brought into the palace to look after the king. And now the king's sons are fighting over her. Who was this woman? And that's why I couldn't not speak about her this week. I said I was only going to be 5 minutes. I'm here now and it's 20 minutes already. It's 20 minutes. But I just want you to realise that each woman in the Bible, each woman was valuable and considered worthy. And they're so worthy that you have to speak of them. You cannot just, ignore them, because they play really important parts, really important roles. You can kind of skip over some of them sometimes because you read so quickly and it's only the main ones that you know. But no, Abishag. A lot of people may not even know her name, not even realise who she was. But she was worthy. She was valuable. She was a woman that was sought after by kings. Yeah, a woman that was protected by kings as well. Yeah, King David, she was sought for, but it was King Solomon who protected her. I mean, we don't know what happened to Abishag because her story really ends here. But as you know, her story probably doesn't end. I don't know if she went on to get married. I don't know if she went on to have children. We don't know. But this is the story of Abishag. This is her story. But what is your story? What is your story? You too are unique. You too have a purpose on this earth. You too are valuable. You too have a story to tell. And you too are here on purpose. So never devalue yourself. No matter how anyone treats you, you are worth something to your Father in heaven. He loves you. He loves you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here on earth today. You have something to be fulfilled. Yes, you do. And that's why I always say what I always say at the end of my videos, which is, you too are a child of God. You are special. You are unique. You are chosen. And you are very much loved by your Father in heaven. So may God continue to lead, guide and protect you. May God bless you and just make his face just to shine upon you and give you perfect peace. Amen. Well, I hope this video has blessed you today. I really do. But like I said, each woman that I speak about week in and week out, they're very important. But they much relate to us today. Each woman that I speak about relates to some woman on this earth. There is some woman on this earth that are one of these women. Whether you're an Esther, a Ruth, a Huldah, a Deborah, it doesn't matter. You are someone that deserves to be spoken about, that deserves to be given a chance, that is worth something. Remember what God says. You are more valuable than a sparrow, and you are more valuable than silver or gold. Yes, you are. So anyway, like I said, this is the end of my video. I hope it's blessed you. Please do like and share and subscribe again. And please go back and have a look at my other videos and just see which one you might be. So anyway, this is the end. Take care. Speak to you all again soon. Have a blessed week. Bye for now. Bye.